My guest today placed second in the Seattle International Comedy Competition, has a comedy special on Dry Bar titled Full Grown Man, and a comedy dynamic special titled Live at the Spokane Comedy Club. I'm excited to welcome Phil Kopczynski.
Yeah, I'm happy to be here.
Did I get your name right?
Yeah, you did more research than the club did this weekend.
This is the weirdest shoot. But, like, I've done podcasts in cars. I've done podcasts like in weird Airbnbs. This is, I mean, it's nice, but this is the most exotic shoot we've done.
Yeah,
so
obviously,
far.
man.
If you're not watching us on YouTube, we're at what's the name of this? The
Riverfront Hotel. That sounds like a scene of a murder, is what it is.
Hotel should be in quotation marks.
Yeah, it's a serial killer motel where they eeny, meeny, miny, mo on the doors.
Let me check this quick.
Yeah, how do we look? I think
sure.
Looks pretty good.
Am I in shot still?
Yeah, dude,
Okay, cool.
You got the tats out. You look good, man. Your pump is still going a little?
Still, I was at I got that 3-day membership at Gold's. And
whoa, did you get a workout yesterday?
No, dude, I felt like shit yesterday.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't tell you what happened last night, did I?
I don't know.
Yeah, no, we haven't talked.
Okay.
Today, I could not sleep again. Had that like really bad insomnia and took like 2 tabs, like the ultra intense ZQL stuff.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Like the like not the ultra strength or whatever it's called.
Yeah.
And I took it at like 10:30, 11 o'clock. By 2 in the morning, I was wide awake, totally fucked up from whatever it was, and ended up getting in the car and going to Winco last night.
Oh,
and I like zombie walked to go get a bag of potato chips.
So you looked like everybody else in Winco. But during the daylight,
there's
usually.
So many families in there at night at 2 o'clock in the morning.
Really?
Why would that even be? We're in Richland, Washington, right?
I don't know. Maybe because it's so sunny during the day. I don't know. That is wild, dude.
Yeah, it was not a. Can you imagine getting that DUI, like, just for sleep medication?
Yeah, driving your kids to the. Oh, you mean you? I thought you meant the families.
Yeah, that too. Like that was. I was just surprised. Like there was like a 6-year-old kid in there. I was like, I felt sorry for him.
Ah, come on! Don't be judgmental. It's summertime. You know what I mean?
You have kids? Would you bring your kids at 2 o'clock in the morning?
No, dude, I'm not a piece of shit. But there's pieces of shit. You know what I mean? Like there's pieces of shit everywhere. I mean, to an extent to where I'll swear when there's a little kid walking behind me at a hotel. But other than that, like. No, my kids are going to bed at 9.
Put my shades on too. If you're wearing yours, nobody's getting any eye expressions in this episode.
Yeah, no, not at all. You know what? It's summertime. It's hot as hell here. It's culturally diverse. But who knows? You can't be judgmental. If they they got to spit with a pig on the outside in the parking lot. Like, what are you gonna do? Be judgmental? Telling me they can't do that? That's fine, dude. Is it having chicken fights? They're having cockfights in the back. Who cares, man? This is a nice thing about being a road comic. You get to experience different parts of the country.
It's crazy. Before we move on, just if you are watching us on YouTube, make sure to subscribe to the channel, like, comment for Phil or myself, and hit that notifications bell so you don't miss any of our upcoming content. How long have you been doing...
Hold on. Say who you voted for in the comments to help the algorithm.
Does it
and
actually...
say why you voted. If people start fighting in the comments, that's the best thing that can
happen. Is it really? I think
know.
Somebody told me that. Like,
yeah. Yeah. Any action that can happen on your video?
Yeah, just say... Somebody put "Let's Go Brandon," and then see what happens there.
Just title this video "Let's Go Brandon." I mean, listen, I'm in Eastern Washington. That would be a step down for me. That would be like a more moderate.
It's been interesting out here. Like did you grow up in Eastern Washington?
Yeah, but like I grew up on a mountain, like 10 miles away from a town of 500 people. So I grew up in like isolation.
Really?
Yeah, it was like just me, my Down syndrome sister, and a satellite dish. So it was like my influences are very like we would just sit around watching BET trying to mimic the dances, which is a very weird way to grow up. You know what I mean? like just being like, give me 5 on the black hand side, and then trying to go like then burn our garbage in a burn barrel and wrangle up the horses or whatever I was doing when I was a kid. So it was I don't know other people that I know like 4 other kids that had a childhood like mine, and they were all just the other kids in the Mountain Valley.
What area was it?
So Spokane, you go 30 miles south on the border of the Coeur d'Alene Indian Reservation. There's a mountain called Mica Mountain, and that's where it was. So, and I was like 10 miles away from a town called Rockford. Okay. So very remote.
Is that? God, what's that fucking school? The mascot is a pirate, I want to say. It's like a smaller private school out there.
I do not. Well,
starts
there's
with a W, I want to say.
Oh, you're thinking Whitworth?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like a little north of Spokane.
I was there.
Yeah.
I dated a girl that went there, played bass or like softball there.
Holy shit! You had to be her bad boy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, because dude, I went to a wedding in Eastern Washington. Like the saying at that school was "ring by spring."
Yeah.
By spring semester of senior year.
You get the MRS degree. You get the whole like. That must be a real culture shock from someone coming from Western Washington, where the women are like, I cannot wait to be home and told what to do.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
And she was from Everett, so like she wasn't really that way. So I kind of had a sense of it, but like I went to school in Indiana. Like it feels more religious out here, in that part than.
Well, that's cool.
Did you know they block the porn here on the Wi-Fi?
No, I have unlimited data, so.
I just found that out last night, though.
Yeah, I'm not messing. No, I don't want to get on some list, man.
Why on earth would they block it?
God, a joint like this where guy's rolling a blunt in front of his kid? Why would
not just a kid. It's literally kid in the oven.
Oh yeah. Mom's waiting. Daddy, you done with the blunt?
Yeah. What do you think any of these people walking past I think we're doing right now?
Show business.
Which is true.
Yeah, obviously. Look at me, dude. You don't. I mean, listen. You don't. If you got this kind of star power, people realize it. Anyway, what was your question?
As you lube up again. No, it's definitely more religion out here, right?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I mean, this is Tri-Cities also. Like, I'm not from here,
How far is Spokane from here?
Like 2 hours.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so you started in Spokane comedy?
Yeah, dude. Yeah, started in Spokane, and then I immediately, like 2 years in, was doing the road. Can you hear? Are you picking up that baby?
Hold on.
Speak quick.
It doesn't seem terrible. I mean, at least it's not completely being neglected. How did I... Oh, fuck. There's all these kids.
Yeah, dude, I'll tell you right now, this is the problem with location shoots. You run into just elements, it's wind, it's water, sounds from birds, crying babies. It happens.
Wind, everything's been fine up until...
So... Yeah, I started at Spokane Comedy Club. I started in Spokane at a little place called Uncle D's Comedy Underground. That was that was upstairs. You had to go upstairs to get to the Comedy Underground above a blues club, and it was like a huge night for people to go out. They did the Comedy Club, and they go downstairs.
What year was that?
2013. I don't know what day, but it was like October 2013. So I started a lot later. I started like at 33.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So yeah, that club, it was like a 2-night club, and it was a decent club. I think I never headlined it, and if I had, I wouldn't have stayed there, but I think like headliners were like sleeping on the owner's couch and stuff. And, the guy's still around who owned it and books like little bar gigs and stuff. And I mean, he does shows, and they're fun. Everybody is there to watch comedy. They're looking at you. They've paid a ticket price. Like, he does a good job, but it's definitely like at a, I don't want to say amateurish level, but it's like at a, it doesn't feel like you're not, like people aren't coming from other places to headline there, and the like other people who kind of work the road in the Spokane area are like way too like they're not going to go do that gig for the amount of money it is. So every time I do the gig, he's just like, dude, thank you so much. Thank you, man. This is, and I'm just like, because it's like I just got him a year's worth of work, But yeah, it's. I mean, I love working for that guy still because it's fun. They're just fun guys, and that's how he gets more people to work for him. And I started going to Seattle after like a year, like trying to just go do like any open mics they could, and like closing out open mics for like $20, and just like investing in my act. And then and people from Spokane would quickly go to Seattle too.
Yeah.
So I'd just like hook up with them, and maybe they were in with the Underground or RIP Underground. And
was Nate out here when you were Nate Jackson?
No, I've never met Nate Jackson.
Really?
Yeah, he's before my time in the Spokane area.
Okay, I think he must have been. I think he did Sick like 2008 or something.
Yeah.
So it might have been
that makes
before.
sense.
But I think he mentioned that room because when I interviewed him, he started out here.
Yeah.
And I think he started in college and like, I mean, how did you develop?
Yeah, so when I started, there was like a real weird scene in Spokane. You had a Thursday night open mic, and then you had a Thursday night late night open mic at like a burrito bar. And then people were just starting open mics at the time. It was, similar to like Seattle. I could get on stage probably 9 times when I started a comedy, like in a week.
Mm-hmm.
And then I would start going to like open mics for music. So they'd be like, acoustic guitarist, and then he'd be like, and a comic stopped by. And I would just...
They're always so excited until you start talking, too.
Oh, dude, it was terrifying. I mean, there was multiple times where I was like, all right, if I bomb 3 times in a row, I'm going to be done with this. This is idiotic. And I mean, I don't know what drove me to keep doing it. But also, like, the guys running it were stoked. They were like, oh, this guy, like... It's a diverse thing.
To
like
be
it's
doing
different.
that at 33, too, dude. Like,
I know.
Your wife, were you guys married at the time?
Oh, yeah. I've been married to almost 20 years, yeah.
She must have just been like, what the fuck are you doing, right?
Yeah.
Because that's
a
tough, I'm sure it's a tough sell now to be like, hey, I got this gig. Like, like, unless the money's right or the time. Like,
but
at
least
sense.
I was home,
That's
back
true,
then.
yeah.
And I will say, like, so I was I performed. I did like commercials and these corporate, I don't know what you call them, training videos, and then I would do improv. I did improv, like at a community theater level from like age 25 to 33, and then about a year into stand up, I was like, I got to be done, guys. And I was already kind of heading there because you kind of age out at improv, or else you just wind up being like a creep.
It's yeah. I never thought about that.
Yeah. And that's. And that's, I mean, I'm a very like
animated
type of comic. And a lot of that stems from like I was doing these music open mics where, people go to those mics, like the audiences go to those mics to like chat while they're listening to like a blues musician or an acoustic guitar. And so I was like, I gotta get these people's attention. So I wasn't even, I was like, I was doing like this much setup that was like, and then this much punchline, and so my act had to tighten down a lot. But that's kind of what developed it. And then also improv, is obviously like a lot more
performance.
Like, hey everybody, okay, what's a place that you went on vacation? Was it Riverfront Hotel? Did you post the technical conversations that we're having?
The like in and out?
Yeah, you and me.
I don't know. My buddy cuts it up for
me.
Okay.
So. God damn, you are doing this very professionally.
Yeah, it's.
So you're sober, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, are you in like no weed, just like cigs and?
Yeah, I just fucking. As much as I would like to try and do some of that other stuff, I just don't.
No. Fuck. Are you in a program?
Yeah.
Are you in like that? Yeah. So, I know it's anonymous, but. Yeah, you like having that under control before you start comedy is like,
well, I was
great.
I was like 8 years off everything before comedy, and I dude, I was so fucked up when I came into comedy, just like mentally and emotionally. I was at this like pretty big breaking point of depression.
Yeah.
And it took that, like, me being that sad to get into doing, like, to be like, you know, I don't even care if I eat shit.
Yeah.
I have to go and do that. I knew from, like,
that's where a lot of people enter it from.
22, 23 that I really, like, felt like I could do stand-up. But, like, I don't think I'm like a lot of other comics, or at least around Seattle and stuff. Like,
Well, you're doing the right time. How long have you been doing comedy?
3 years now?
Yeah, so you're doing the right thing. You got 25 minutes and you get the fuck out and hit the road. I mean, and that is, you know, and it doesn't matter if you're not in the LA or New York area or really maybe some at least major metropolis, you know, you can become really myopic with your worldview wherever you are. Like, you know, you start almost catering to the audience you live in, you know. So if you're living in Seattle, I mean, and you are writing for Seattle audiences, you're going to have a hard time in a lot of the country. Yeah. You know,
and I'm not from Washington.
Like having a Midwest, you know, background, I mean, that's very helpful.
Dude, I ate so much shit when I started going up in Seattle, though, just from not even understanding those people's point of view. Like, they were just angry about everything, it seemed like.
Yeah.
And now I'm like, oh yeah, as long as I'm not being a dick. And, like, you know, there are certain things you're just not, like, you better really have everything buttoned up and like, you want to talk about this to go that way. But, like, the road is so fun where you're like, oh, I get to, like, fuck around and, like, have more space.
Yeah.
And be able to, like, take chances and, like, get them back if it doesn't work. And, like.
Well, and, you know, on the other side of that coin, I mean, you also need to be able to go to big cities that are, you know, more hip and you know, really a lot more liberal than a lot of other, like, places you wind up going on the road. Because it's funny, like, so many people develop in, like, big cities with liberal audiences, and then they go to, like, the reddest parts of the country.
Yeah.
Like, I mean,
that's where people pay money for live comedy.
Yes, yeah, exactly.
It's so weird.
So, but you got to be able to do both. I mean, you know, eventually you want to play the Bostons, you want to play whatever. So, but you still have to do it as yourself,
too.
You know.
Like, I don't. It's not that I dislike one or the other. It's just I wish that I had the opportunity to do longer amounts of time in, you know, Seattle.
Well, that's what the road's for, man. That's what I did. I mean, that's as soon as I could. That's why I started doing the road, was to really just to get more time. I mean, I was taking gigs because I was going from rural Oregon all the way up to Canada, down to Arizona to Colorado on as much as possible, and I was not focused on profiting. You know, because it doesn't make any sense. I'm building my act.
How were you doing? Were you working during that time though?
Yeah, I was doing feature sets.
Like, were you like had a day job?
Yeah. Well, I'm in a very good position. I run a company, and then, like, I mean, I started at 33, so, like, and I had kids at, like, 23.
Yeah.
So I mean, I, like, had my career, like, set. So I still, you know, manage the company. I still, you know, I manage my rentals. Like, you know, that's where it's like, so I was able to, like, fund it basically, you know, and not touch any comedy money. So I would just put that away, and then that comedy would just fund comedy, you know. But I was never worried about. I never felt like I had to make, you know. I was like, I got to sell these shirts or else I'm not going to make rent, you know. So I didn't worry about making money for the first, 4 years,
which is a huge, like, advantage. I think. I mean, everybody comes in with, like, their natural. You either have natural talent, you naturally work really hard, you have some natural resources that other people might not have. Like, if you have, in that case, like, you worked for that privilege.
Yeah,
and
use whatever advantage you have.
I mean, just like if you check several boxes that are going to get you on stage certain places. That's the same thing.
But also, like, the disadvantage is I was starting at 33.
Oh,
like, starting my first open mic at 33.
I started at 30.
Yeah.
So like, I know exactly.
I mean, I don't know if you feel this way, but there's, like, a ticking clock before, like, you want to get a credit before a certain age. You know.
Yeah.
Like
no,
I opened for Dennis Miller when I was 36, and I had like a baby face. You know, you look younger than 30, but like I opened for Dennis Miller at 36, and after the show, I was walking by his green room. It was like big theater show. It was a huge, huge green room, and he's like, "Hey, come here." He was like, "Man, it was great. You got to get down to L.A., man." You know, he's like, "Come on, man, get to L.A." And I was like, "Yeah, I don't know, man. I just don't know if I'm going to be able to build a career performing at laundromats and shit." And he goes, "No, dude, you should get down there. How old are you?" And I go, "I'm 36." And he goes, "Ah, don't tell anybody that."
I've. It's so funny you said that because like as I've been doing it longer, like being young is the best advantage you have.
Yeah,
like,
absolutely.
Quinn Fitzgerald,
yeah,
is a buddy of mine. I think he worked with you recently, but like,
yeah,
he started at like 20, 21. If anybody is going to be successful in like my crew of friends, I think he's got the best chance because he's got the longest time.
Time is the only thing that you can't buy or get.
But it's also, it's a long game. I mean, there are people that are like, I mean, it depends on what you're trying to do, too. Like,
no, man, it's a long game. Kendrick Lamar, careers take off. You just got to be patient.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, look at me. Mine took off. I'm in Richland, Washington, dude. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, dude, I say stick with it. You know, someday, you know, you stick with this long enough, you might sell 24 tickets to a, you know, show in Jokers. Did you hear that last night, by the way, when I was like, I made it, dude. I sold 37 tickets, and a woman yelled out, 24.
I thought the tickets were free.
I did after the show. I was like, hey, man, yeah, Joe. You know, some guy was like, sign his poster, and he's like, talking me up.
You know, this is how stupid I am, okay? Because this is like just how I'm just like fully on the spectrum. The guy asked me to sign the poster. I just signed my name. I didn't write anything.
Yeah.
I just like then you picked up the pen, you started writing something. I was like, how dumb am I? He signed the poster. I just signed it and like I was fucking signing a receipt.
There's no way he's gonna remember your name if it's not a legible signature.
For sure. And like I don't even know if it says my name on the poster.
Maybe it does.
But either way, like me just signing, like nobody wants you to just sign the poster. They want you to write something.
Oh, dude,
they're gonna frame it. And so
I have messed up a couple people's shirts that they bought from me.
Really?
Because they're like, sign this shirt. You might make it someday. You never know. And I'm like, dude, I know. I ain't gonna make it.
So you've done a lot of like corporates though, right?
Like corporate stand-up?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, so this is actually kind of interesting. You talk about advantages. So I was doing corporate improv gigs, which are hell. Like I'll tell you a story about I wasn't going to tell you, this was not the story I was going to tell you, but so like this is how bad corporate improv gigs are. First of all, you get paid a similar amount that you do for stand-up, but you split it between 5 people. So you're making less money than you would for a feature spot in stand-up for all your dignity, dude. Oh, and you're giving a cut to whatever theater booked you.
Where are these happening though? Like, is it during the day? Like when?
Yeah, but all of it. I mean, anytime, morning. You know, it's same as stand-up. You know, you get booked. You can do. They got a big party. You're the act. They're the entertainment. They're doing a midday conference. Because stand-up corporate gigs can happen anytime. So it was very similar culture. You show up and they're like, hey, are you guys the entertainer? So I'd already experienced that through improv. So I was doing corporate. I was doing like going in alone doing corporate gigs like 3 years into comedy.
Really?
Yeah. So and
were you comfortable because you not only the improv background but also you work in corporate America?
Yeah. Like, I mean, So I work with big Fortune 500 companies. So I feel I don't. You know, it's funny because I'm in the world of it. You know, so like comics who are like, I could never do this, man, because it's the man. That I'm like, dude, it's. When you're a comic, everybody's
anybody
the man.
Who's paying you is the man.
Right. Exactly.
There's no way to get work.
It is hard to build the clean set, though.
Yeah. Can you talk about that a little bit? Like if I know people that are interested in working clean, but don't really know what that means, or because it seems like it's everybody's definition of it. Like how do you look at it?
So I never was trying to be clean. I was never trying to write clean. I just would go to open mics and everybody was doing, Taco Bell diarrhea, weird dick, bloody vagina, anal. It was all just like
my stuff.
Yeah, your act, yeah. But everybody was doing that kind of stuff, and so I was just when I would go to after going to enough open mics, I was like, I need to write different stuff. If I'm gonna go in those lines, I need to write something so wild that that it no one's ever heard it before. So I started just the writing just wound up just being like, well, I just want to write jokes, and then a lot of it just kind of wound up being clean. And also for improv, we would do a clean show and then a late dirty show. So you wound up just being clean. I mean, and if you'd be surprised how much stuff people think is dirty if you just clean up the language.
Yeah.
You can do sexual jokes. You can do a lot of jokes if you just clean up your language.
It's the explicit language, like, because
yeah.
you can imply a lot of stuff too
Yeah.
without. I started like because I thought this gig coming out here was like squeaky clean. I didn't really fucking do any work on it, and then I got there. I asked the guy last night. It was like, what are there any rules or anything? He's like, no, like it's a bar. Like, what do you? I'm like, I don't know why I'm even fucking.
You have to walk through.
Like,
you have to walk through like waitresses that have like booty shorts at a casino to get there. Yeah,
it's a fucking a comedy club next to a bowling alley in a casino.
Yeah. So you're quite a bit younger than me. Do you know Too Short, the rapper Too Short? Yeah. The first time I headlined this club, Too Short was the next weekend. So yeah, you don't have to be clean at jokes.
Yeah, yeah.
But I want to tell you about this quick. Very good. This is a quick story. A corporate gig for improv is what it is. You walk out. I did one time. It's 500 people. It's huge, but like the front was all these dudes in like camo gears, like camo polos. And like the elk, the brand with like the elk horns, and like their wives are wearing jeans, but like everyone else is in like suits and gowns.
What the fuck?
And so they're up front, okay? And so we get close to starting, and the organizer was like, "Hey, just to let you know, every year we give out these gift baskets. They're like $500, and everybody loves it." And I was like, "What's up with the front table?" They're like, "Oh, that's all the warehouse staff, and they're really excited about these gift baskets. And we're going to do it right after you guys go up." And I'm like, okay. And so we come out there, and it's like, "Hey, everybody, how's it going? Can we get a suggestion for something you would do fun on the weekend?" And this guy's like, "Open our gift baskets." The organizer comes out, and she's like, well, she's like off to the side, and she's like, "Well, we're going to do them after the show." And you just hear this guy go, "God damn it." And that sums up. And then we do 45 minutes.
Oh my god.
Oh, and then that's another thing is like you're not in control. Like whoever the MC of a improv show has a lot of control.
Yeah.
It's like I did a gig one time for like it's called Altria, but it's Philip Morris. So these are professionals that decided to work for a cigarette company.
Yeah.
Right? This dude comes up. He's like old school, corny ass shit. He's like, they flew this guy in from Florida to like the Coeur d'Alene Resort, which is like the highest, it's like the most upscale place in the area. And these people are like, they're not wearing like, they're wearing like fashionable shit. They got like Prada, tailored suits. These people are like, in a different level than this dude who's like, "Hey everybody, what's up? We're gonna get kind of silly tonight." Okay, so give me a something from the news. And this was 2 weeks after the Malaysian airliner went down.
Oh fuck.
This dude in the audience goes, "Malaysian airliner." Everybody laughs. And I'm like, this is going to be a fun show.
Oh, yeah.
Because that's what happens with improv. You start to read the audience. You're like, okay, let's push. But, we can kind of escalate. If he's starting at this level, this is going to be a great show.
Oh, yeah.
And the dude this is a guy running the show. They're paying him. They're paying him through a booker. And he's flying. So this dude's making a ton of money on this gig. And he's like, whoa, 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 everybody. Let's keep it PG. And you just saw everybody just go, fuck this. And half the audience goes to the bar. And I was like, this guy screwed this up so bad, man.
Most of the time, the audiences are down. It's just like a handful of people that ruin it.
No, you just want to stay away from politics and the F-bomb. That's really what most, if they're like
FC.
Yeah,
R,
yeah,
those yeah, like,
yeah,
I was thinking about, like, do I have any of those in my act coming over here? But I still, like, I do. There are some things where, like, if that's how you say it naturally, it's funnier when you say it the way that you actually would say it.
Yeah.
That's the tricky part.
Yeah, but I mean, it's pretty easy. Do you know Brad Upton?
Yeah.
Yeah, he gave me a tip on corp because I got a R-rated corporate gig one time, and he's like, I hit him up and I was like, yo, man, what? They're gonna tell me to be R-rated. Like, what does that mean for a corporate gig? He goes, no fucks, no fisting. Other than that, you're good. And I was like, all right, that's perfect. Like, that was so succinct. I was like, that's perfect. All right, I'll just I'll avoid all my fisting material.
Dude, he keeps coming up on this podcast from different people that have come on. Like, I gotta have Brad on because I heard. Have you talked to him at all? Because he was in the hospital, wasn't he?
Yeah. He's doing great.
Is he?
Yeah, he's putting dates back on. Yeah, I think he was all messed up, and then he had the stroke that just, it's like if you're constipated and then it finally lets loose. Maybe that's what. That's finally kicked that clot out of the way.
Is he a healthy guy though? Or is he
yeah,
like,
dude.
Okay.
Yeah, super. Yeah, I actually would like. I would if I was gonna work with him soon. I would be like, oh, dude. I look so fat. I mean, like, dude, because I gained like 15 pounds during coronavirus. Yeah, he's like, dude, yeah, you work with him, it's great. He's doing yoga. He talks about hurdling. He's in great shape.
So since the pandemic, what has been sort of? Are you back to working full time? Are you like what is your schedule? Yeah.
It's funny. Man, COVID like really messed up my trajectory. Because, like, I had 2018, I got second in Seattle International. I started doing a lot more headlining work. Mm-hmm. And it was like bar gigs and really off-brand clubs. But then I was booking headlining work without having ever worked there as a feature, which was like a big step up. But, like, little stuff, and I was working a lot as a feature for bigger acts. I worked with you at that time, like, before the pandemic. Whoa. You were at Laughs. No, that was during the pandemic. That was the first weekend they opened up.
Oh, was it?
Yeah. Yeah, because that was the whole. I made a tour. I was like freed and vaccine tour, and I used artwork of me with my arms filled with needles, and wearing an American flag pants, and dude, I think it messed up my sales in Spokane because people were like, "Are you gonna make fun of anti-vaxxers?" Like, dude, people I knew, that I know personally, are like, I don't know, man. I don't know about your show. I mean, I saw that poster. Like, what's going on with it? Like, are you going to make fun of people for not taking the... I'm like, dude, I came with this concept, and I didn't know how politicized this was going to be, So, whatever, dude. At least Dave and Angela at Laughs were smart enough not to use that stupid... and the guy, dude, I had this artist I like. He did it. I'm like, this is sick. It's so hilarious. Yeah. Look at all the needles. And it did not. That was a bad one. It didn't work out good. But I mean, it was. So 2019, I got a dry bar special, and then
I watched that.
And then what's that?
I watched it.
Oh, you were the one.
Yeah.
So
and that one lady last night too.
Oh yeah, the lady last night.
The
I
couple.
watch your dry bar. I'm like, buckle up.
Yeah, I just worked with Ben Washburn. I don't know if you know him.
Yeah, he's a dry bar guy. He might have too. Yeah.
He like comes out and he just immediately says fuck, and he goes, "Look, if you saw me on dry bar, this is not going to be anything like that. Like, I'm sorry." And then he goes into it, but it's tough with that, right? Like. Yeah. I mean, have you gotten any pushback?
A little bit, but I know what I'm stepping into, and most people, I think, understand if they're going to a bar or a comedy club, it's not going to be the way it is on dry bar. But also, like, mine only has 1 million views, which ain't shit for dry bar. Yeah. I mean, I needed a credit. Like, I'd been doing the road like 40 weeks a year plus working a regular job.
Where
And-
were you doing it?
Where was I doing stand-up?
Yeah, like the road 40 weeks out of the year.
For 40 weekends. Oh man, Looney's in Colorado. I mean, here actually, Joker's was one of the first places I started working. I was only 2 years into doing comedy, and then I won a contest in Colorado Springs, and so then I would just network, or I'd go somewhere and do open mics and meet people. So I was going down to like, I was doing gigs in Arizona and or a lot of rural Oregon stuff, a lot of rural Idaho stuff. A lot of like roadhouse bars. I mean, I would literally go to a map and just start like making a list of bars or music venues and just like send out a shit ton of Facebook messages and then go put on a show. So
you would book it yourself?
I would book it myself, and I would book a headliner, and then I would feature.
Okay.
And it was.
You're talking about this so casually. Like, that is a massive like act. I mean, of the people that I know, there are people that are 10 years into comedy. And they're like, why haven't I gotten a feature set yet?
Yeah.
You had feature sets 2 years in because you didn't wait around.
Right. Well, they were given. I mean, it felt like once people were giving me feature sets, like once bookers were given to me, I was like, okay, well, I've passed whatever quality bar I needed to, so why not just market myself as a feature? Now, the things that I think people screw up is that then they'll be like, I got a feature set, so I'm going to book my own headliner set. So sometimes people can go too fast. So I would always book a headliner or like 3 people who could feature.
Mm-hmm.
But I was like, okay, you're featuring at a club somewhere, or a couple clubs, so you're there. And
there is one aspect of this though. Dave Landau, I don't know if you know him.
Yeah, great comic.
He's super funny. He's been on, and we had talked like he started headlining 2 years in Michigan, and like it's in the Midwest, it's different where like you can just get a ton of work and a lot of stage time, like do the road if you're willing to do the road, and I just kind of piece this together. Like, you're never gonna really be ready to fucking do the next thing in comedy. Like, the only way you get ready is by doing it.
Yeah, no, it's definitely like the leap of faith, man.
And you eat shit. Yeah. Or you do okay. Nobody does phenomenal their first whatever set. Like, the first time you do 12, first time you do 20, first time, like, I did a run doing 30 down in Oregon recently, and like first 2 shows went great. Second show, it was like, oh fuck, like I found dead spots and and I got out of it, but it was like compared to the other ones, it's like, fuck, what did I do wrong here?
Yeah.
And unless you flex a muscle, like it's
just like, I mean, it's like working out a new exercise for the first time. You're gonna be sore, man, and you kind of have to become road hardened. And at some level. There's a guy named Daryl Lennox. He's a great comic. I don't know where he lives now, but I met him pretty early on. He gave me some great advice, and it was like, you need to crush where the industry is. And he's like, when you're out in nowhere, first of all, you're probably the coolest person in the town. Second of all, they'll never be able to do what you do. Like, you can go learn to be a auto repairman, but they can't go and just learn to do this. Like, you gotta actually get out and do it. And it's like, you got to just take these risks of bombing out in these weird rooms out in the middle of nowhere. I mean,
it's a safe place to have it happen. Like,
yeah, I mean, you can burn bridges with bookers, if you screw up. And I did that. I mean, that was the bad thing of going out too early. Is that there's probably a couple clubs or rooms that I'll probably never work again because I kind of pushed myself in a little too early.
Yeah.
But again, I was so desperate, man, because I knew there was. I was like, if I can't get headlining weekends, if I can't string together some kind of legitimate run for a weekend, by the time I'm 40, like I'll never be able to prove that like this is something that I can do and that's not just a hobby. You know what I mean? So I mean, I was getting, dude, I was on the road. So, I mean, I was getting crazy. I was like, well, fuck, maybe if I just like burn down a school in the summer, and then I'll be like the guy who burned down a school, And I was like, that'll be his credit. Like, like I'll just go to jail for a couple of years and then they'll be like, yo, we booked this comic that burned down a school. in the summertime. And I mean, that's how crazy. And then it was like, no, tone it down. Maybe just like, dude, maybe just like
That
a big.
might be one of the funniest things somebody's ever said on here, dude.
Well, it got toned down to I'd see billboards. I'm like, what if I just burn down that billboard?
Yeah,
You know, like,
it'd
could
be
I? And is that 6 months in prison? Like, I was like, dude, if I just commit a wild enough crime that makes the news. You know, like that Coney. You remember there was like a documentary about Coney, and the director came out and he was buck naked in like a street in L.A. and everybody was like, "Yo, the director for Coney is buck naked in the streets." And then people were like, "What's Coney?" You know, and that's kind of what I thought I could have for my career. Like,
you just create your own.
yeah, just create some.
Kind of what Ari's done. Like he
Right.
If he makes a big enough splash, people are gonna know his name.
Yeah, but I would have had to do. Dude, I had so many insane ideas. I was like, what if I get a jackhammer and just mess up an entire small town's like sidewalk? Like just jackhammer up their whole side. Like that would be the like.
Dude, these two guys, when I was, I think like 13 or 14, they burned down a church.
Nice.
And they were dumb enough to tell someone else that. I was thinking about this like 3 days ago. It's funny you said that. I was like, I'm pretty sure those fucking guys are still in prison. Like, that was when I was 13, you know? Like, they made one dumb decision and they burned the wrong building. Can you imagine being in prison?
Well, how old were they when they did it?
I don't know. It was like we heard about it, but it was before, like,
one dumb
shit
decision.
was really...
That's a pretty dumb decision. And that's also not... That's not like... You know, that's not like, oh, I'm going to jump off this roof or I'm going to get into a car and drink.
But couldn't you see yourself being
burning down a
dumb
church?
enough to
No.
fucking do something? I didn't grow up religious, but like, okay, I went to Catholic school when I was in the 7th and 8th grade, and on the last day, we all like went to my place for a bonfire, and we brought all of our books, and we were going to burn the books that we didn't like, and we all had the Bibles out for a second, and we're like, yeah, we're not going to do that.
Yeah,
like, you put it away.
So imagine you're looking at Jesus on the cross and you're like, dude, pass me the gas. And that's what those guys did, you know?
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
Yeah, that's pretty bad.
It's not good. I guess I loved lighting shit on fire so much when I was younger that like I could see where like you with the wrong group of guys and you have a couple drinks and you find yourself in that situation and then you're in like who is getting any credit in prison for burning down a church? Like
I don't know, man. I think prison's a pretty, you know, I think once you're in there, you're just there.
You got to make a name for yourself.
You ever gone to jail? You ever gonna?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Gone to jail, not prison.
Yeah. Prison. I've had friends go to prison. They talk about it like, you know, as long as you're not the pedophile, everyone's kind of like, yeah, this is what it is, you know, and just you can either stick to yourself.
The races, you have to manage your own race. Like
you mean
white pedophiles get managed by their own people, and if they don't, then it becomes a problem. So like that's why like they'll come in and they'll burn somebody's mattress and fucking beat the shit out of them, and then it's up to the pedo to go into protective custody. So the white guys know that they have to beat the shit out of this guy and burn his mattress, and if they don't, then it's going to become an issue. I had a guy come on, I think episode 8. Check it out with Lance Netherland. It was fucking crazy.
Dude, what happens if they don't?
Then it can cause
the
a
Mexicans
riot.
like, yo man, you
No,
gotta take
it's
care
like
of
if
your
you
shit.
don't take care of this guy, like this is going to be a problem. You have to keep your like space clean, essentially.
Dude, who has to man, how annoyed would you be if you're like, fuck, I'm in the middle of my GED right now. I gotta burn this guy's
Beat
mattress.
the shit out of oh god, that's a tough look. Yeah, we don't have.
Did you want a story? Or
yeah, I do want a story.
right.
One, I just had a couple quick questions because I haven't had anybody that's. Your sister has Down syndrome.
Yeah, still, it's not cured.
It's. I don't think I've had a comic who has like family members that are disabled or whatever intellectual disability. What's
Whoa,
the right?
Dude, that is Seattle talking. Yeah, developmentally disabled is way. Gabe Rutledge. Actually, 3 comics from Washington have Down syndrome siblings: Gabe Rutledge, Josh Firestein, and me.
Okay.
Isn't that weird?
Do you not use the R word?
Didn't you hear my act? Yeah, I mean, no, I do sometimes. I mean, I mean, with her, I don't, because it's like, well, I just say Down syndrome.
Yeah.
But she's around a lot of people, where it's fun.
Because I know a few people have like that are comics. They really take issue with those words.
I use it in a context where a guy says it, and I don't get mad.
Yeah.
Because I don't. I mean, I don't. Like, it is, to me, it's lazy to say it, but I don't think it's hateful. I don't. Yeah. I mean, it really isn't. Because
I don't think it's ever been hateful. It's like,
Well, the weird thing is, like, it used to be a real term that, like, not that long ago. Like,
that's what the medical term was.
ARC. Well, no, like, ARC is Value Villages.
Yeah.
So ARC supplies Value Villages with clothing, and it's a organization. I mean, these were like 60s liberal do-gooders that were like, we got to help these people out. I mean, you can get like, assistance. There's community centers all over the country, and that's ARC, and it stands for Association of Retarded Citizens.
Really?
Yeah. And then in the 90s, the R and C had to be lowercase. So no more dots, no more. They changed it, and then they're like,
they keep
it's an
changing
ARC.
it too.
Yeah.
Like now it's intellectually disabled.
That's too many syllables, man. Once you get too many syllables,
well, there's 4 levels of it too.
Yeah,
it's a spectrum. The highest is profoundly intellectually disabled. Can you imagine calling them like profoundly R word? Yeah, like that sounds way worse.
I mean, you haven't met the people I have, so yeah, I could. I mean, my sister was in a program, and there's like some people where it's like they got the bucket around their neck for the drool, and you're like, yeah, that's profound. That's pretty rough, dude. So it's
what was it like though as a comic, like having a sister with Down syndrome?
Well, I don't know if it affected me. I mean, well, I think it was just her and I growing up. So I think, again, it's like all this shit like builds up and is what is your act, and not just the way you write, but also like the way you are, So that was, her and I would just joke around. I mean, making her laugh was like really one of the only things we could share, because it wasn't like I couldn't like board games were kind of out of the question. The video games.
Well, it's not like you were gonna like drop like some profound fucking smart joke too. Like you had to communicate with her in the way that she would get it while making her laugh.
Yeah. And I mean, and it affected everything of us growing up. I wasn't like, yo, you got to check out this sick band, And she's like 17 and still into the Wiggles. You know what I mean? Like it was. So it's everything is different. Like, and a lot of the jokes I had early on, I had to drop because they were just too harsh. People couldn't accept it. Like I would say, but it was all real. I was like, yeah, it was great having a Down syndrome sister because like Christmas, I got so much more of the budget. I wanted a Super Nintendo, and all she wanted was coloring books. I'm like, maybe we can get some extra games, Mom and Dad. Like throw some extra shit on there, and people would just. I don't know.
That came off as mean, whereas like you're like this was just how it was.
Oh yeah, dude. I would, and
yeah, that's the fucking part about comedy. It's so rough. It's like you start seeing just like everything. Like here's a question for you, actually. If you close your eyes, can you picture what you look like on stage?
Yeah, it's like a fucking seal without a mustache and a belt.
But before you got into comedy, you probably didn't see yourself as much as you see yourself now. You watch yourself on tape. Like, do you remember when the first time you watched yourself on tape, and like how uncomfortable it is? Hard. And now you do all those reels and like TikTok shit, and like you see yourself, it just becomes natural. Yeah. First time you do though, you're like, this is because I think you're actually seeing what other people see for the first time.
Oh, it's hard, man.
Oh.
It's hard, yeah.
You gotta like gut your ego. Yeah, it's really tricky.
No, it's like the first time you hear your voice and record, you're like, I sound like that? Jesus Christ!
It's terrible, but that's what people are hearing all the time.
Right. Well, and
your voice is that bad.
If you get, and I've talked to comics who are like very successful. I think it was Sarah Colonna who said this. She's got a great career, and she was like. She was saying how, she had to get off the road just because she was so tired of hearing her own voice.
Yeah, that makes sense.
There was in between a series of whatever show she was on, you're just hearing your voice constantly. Especially her because she's doing like radio promo and all this other shit and online stuff.
It's creepy too.
Yeah. Yeah,
That
but
leads us
you know,
into
I
the
had seen
story
that
time
stuff before.
section, though.
Oh,
Well,
yeah.
Yeah,
Oh.
I mean,
It's story time. It's story time with Badam. Yeah, it's story time. It's story time with Badam and friends.
So yeah, so when I was developing jokes about my sister, I have a part where she was dating another Down syndrome guy, and one of the jokes I had was when I went to go talk to him that I said, "Hey man, I know you got the mind of a 6-year-old, but you still got the dick of a 42-year-old." And this is a fine joke, you know, but I had a woman, and I get different reactions. And when I was feeling this out, I had a woman stand up and just go, "Fuck you." This is an old woman, and they were enjoying the whole show. And she just stood up and goes, "Fuck you, too far," and just like flipping me off, walking out. Her and her husband. These people are like 65, but you know, like a fuckable 65, and they were so pissed. And I remember seeing that, and like they were enjoying all of the material. Not just the Down syndrome sister stuff, but the rest of my act. And it was like I just ruined them because of that one dirty joke. And that's why, you know, a lot of people say working clean, I think, is harder. But I think working subversive is almost harder because you can say something that you can't recover from if you burn people to the core of like their morals.
dark material too.
Yeah,
Like,
that's what
really,
I mean. Yeah,
like anything that like death, just like tragic type shit, you can lose people harder than if you just said the F word.
Oh yeah, for sure. Also, I could tell one more story. I don't know, I feel like
That was a pretty.
Okay.
I don't know if we're counting that.
Henry, cut to story 2.
Story time section 2 is a new. Also, I don't have the music, Henry, so you're gonna have to put that in for the audio.
I believe in you, Henry. All right. Okay, so this is a good story for doing Jokers because this happened to me the first time I headlined Jokers. I did a Thursday. Brad Upton did the Friday, Saturday because they were like, he's not ready for weekend yet. But they still gave me the Thursday. So the week before, I was in a comedy competition at Fort Wayne, Indiana, 2018. And I got like a cheap hotel, like awful rewards.
Was it World Series of Comedy?
Yeah, World Series of Comedy. I'm going there. And I show up to this hotel, and the guy walks me to my room, and he opens the door, and he's like, "Is this okay?" It's like 1 a.m, and no one's ever walked me to my room before, and I was like, "Oh shit!" Like as soon as he opened the door, I'm like, "Well, I can't go anywhere else." I didn't have a rental car. Like I took an Uber to get there. I was like, "I gotta stay here." There were like cigarette burns all over, and then later I found it was probably like warm spoon burns, and. Anyway, I was, you know, back then I would do like push-ups before I went to bed, and I got down and I looked at the carpet and I'm like, not tonight, man. Nah, dude, I'm good. And I fucking slept in my shoes, dude. It was so nasty. And
So you went to bed with no pump?
No pump. No, dude. Well, I mean, my heart was racing for fear. So in some ways I did have a workout. And then the daylight happens. I'm going to go get breakfast. I stay in my room because there's like an intense argument, like wildly a man and a woman screaming at each other, right? Like just going. And I mean, it's so like I'm getting scared. Like I go to flip the thing on the door, falls off. And they're like, "Ah, ah, ah," and I hear like bang, like he's slamming her against the wall or some shit, and it's close to my door, so like my door's shaking, and I'm like, what the fuck is going on here? And this place like was not, it was such a bad hotel, and so I push a desk up against the door, and I'm like, what the fuck? And it finally dies down, and I was like, I gotta sleep for a little bit. I go to sleep, wake up, the fire alarm's going off. Place is filled with smoke, and it's like not the fire alarm is like broken, so it's like, and I'm like, oh shit. I mean, I can't see. Like it's full on. Like I'm gonna crawl. I have to get below the smoke, and I go to crawl, and I almost touch the carpet again. I'm like, oh fuck, I'm not there yet. And I just like crab walking around because it's still. And I go, and I can't see, and I go to grab the door of the hotel. and the desk is still there. So I'm like, oh shit, I got to move this desk. So I'm like pulling on it and shit, but I had my shoes still on, so it wasn't hard. So I'm like pulling on it, and I opened
This
the
was
door.
all the same night?
No. This was next morning.
Okay,
so I
okay.
slept through the night. Arguments happening in the morning, and it's like 2 in the afternoon. I mean, I woke up from this. I haven't eaten. I'm starving.
Yeah.
You know, I finally get out.
Did you fly into Indy or
Yeah,
Chicago?
I flew into Fort Wayne.
Okay.
So I Ubered right from Fort Wayne, Indiana, Fort Wayne Airport. I walk out of the hotel. It's the first time I've seen the hotel or motel in the daylight, and it's clearly a like prostitute pimp situation. I didn't see it the night before. There was a massive strip club like within walking distance.
Yeah.
And there's like 6 hookers outside their room just in their day clothes, but still got the night lashes on, and the smoke comes pouring out, and I walk out, and they're not even phased. Like, they're not like, oh my God, are you okay? What's happening in there? They're still talking to each other, and I'm looking around like, do you guys not see the smoke coming out of the room? And I'm like, what is going on? And this woman looks over at me, and she's smoking. She's like, that's why nobody stays at 175, baby. And I'm just like, what the fuck? And so I crab walk into the room, and I grab my shit. I had my...
What was it?
So I grab I grab the shit I can. I don't want to leave it there because I didn't know, it seemed like it was gonna get stolen.
Yeah.
And I put all my shit there, and I go to the front desk, and I'm like,
How dare you say that, by the way?
What, that it gets stolen?
That it felt like it might get stolen.
Oh yeah,
In a place
no,
like that.
No, these were
just-
honest whores. What am I saying? And so I go to the front desk. I knock on the bulletproof glass. I'm like, hey man, my room's on fire. And the dude, like, you'd think the guy would be like, oh my God.
Yeah.
He's like, did you leave the bathroom light on? And I'm like, I don't know, man. We had, like, it's an emergency. And he's like, "Arr," and he's like, just like, it's like an old toilet that doesn't work. Like, I gotta fix this shit again. Like, he grabs a fan. Like, this is clearly a problem that's happened over. Grabs a couple fans, just walks into the room with the smoke, turns off because I left the bathroom fan on apparently, which melted all the wires. So it's not even like, this doesn't smell like campfire, dude. It smells like
electrical fire.
Yeah, it smells like I just am burning a car battery and tires and shit. So my clothing all smells horrific, and I have a little silty ash all over my toothpaste and everything. So I go to the club early. I go to the CVS. I buy a bunch of stuff so I can brush my teeth. And I'm brushing my teeth in the parking lot. I win that night, probably because my energy was so insane.
Yeah.
And I skipped this too, but after, so they get the smoke out and they're like, "Do you want another room?" I'm like, "Fucking yeah, dude. Yeah. You know what? I want a different life. If you could fucking take those wires and put them in my head and fucking kill me, that would be the best thing." And the guy puts me in another room. It's clean, but I open up where the Bible is. There's no Bible. There's a pentagram drawn that's red, and then someone typed a message that's like, "Pray for Tove." So I was like, Jesus Christ, this is just one bad omen. So anyway, I win this contest. It's 2 rounds. So I do the first round.
Yeah, I've done it before.
And then, yes, you know the World Series of Comedy. And so then I win the second round. And they're like, "No, this means you get to come here and work at this club again." I'm like, "I'm never fucking coming to this piece of shit city again." You know, and so then we're hanging out with all the comics, and then Joe, Joe then?
Yeah,
the guy who runs it? Yeah, so I'm hanging. So Joe's out there, and I'm telling them this whole story, and dude, and I'm like manic. I'm like, just fucking these guys, I got ash in my fucking hair. I mean, I'm like losing my mind, and he's like, "Yeah, that's wild." I go, "What would you have done if I had died in that fight? Like, would you have canceled the show? What would you have done?" He's like, No, I think we could have covered. I'll just give everybody 2 more minutes to cover the time.
That's so great.
Yeah. So, and then the next week was one of my first headline. It was my first club headlining set in Richland.
Fuck yeah.
And I had to go buy shirts at Walmart because all my shit smelled like a fucking tire fire.
That's so crazy. All right, man, we got to wrap up.
Yeah.
Where can people find your stuff online?
Oh, dude, Phil
social
Kopczynski, spell it just like it sounds. Yeah, come find me, man. Really, you know what? I am posting all the time on YouTube. It's starting to finally grow a little bit. So look me up. That's Phil Kop Comedy. That's YouTube is really where it's at for me. I'm a busy guy, and I can schedule my posts there. Come find me on YouTube. Please get offended. I would need to get canceled.
Yeah, and if you are watching us on YouTube, hit that like, comment. If you got any questions for Phil or myself, throw them in there. Make sure you hit that notifications bell so you don't miss any upcoming content. And if you are, just listen to us. Just rate and review us wherever you listen to podcasts. Share with a friend. We're going to leave you with Jaga.
I just make the waves, I don't write them. I can hear the lyrics in my spirit as I write them. Why you wanna walk and talk just like them? I can't get caught up in all the hype and the excitement. I just make the waves, I don't write them. I can hear the lyrics in my spirit as I write them. Why you wanna walk and talk just like them? I can't get caught up in all the hype and the excitement. My wave pool, welcome to my wave pool, my wave pool. 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 Welcome to my wave pool, my wave pool.